All right, guys, my favorite list of everybody on George Lopez. Now, I've been meaning to do this one for a little while, but I know you guys are probably going to have a problem with who my favorite character is. And now I'm not going to specifically say that this is a list in order, but I'm kind of going off of what I feel, rather, who I feel actually played a bigger role, who was more important on the show. So we're going to do this from least to most favorites. And as always, if you have a problem with my list, let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure you won't. All right, first one on my list here is Ernie. Now, obviously, you know why Ernie is the least, and it's mainly because he is just an underrole. He's not one of the main characters, though he makes more consistent appearances throughout the show, more in the later seasons. He is loyal, he's anxious, he's soft hearted, but most importantly, he is always overlooked. He sticks with George through everything, even when George doesn't deserve it. He wants love, he wants confidence, he just wants to matter. And sometimes he doesn't believe he does, which is what makes him the underdog of the show. The emotional underdog, I should say. But that's why Ernie stays in our heart. Even though he is very consistent in the way that he behaves, and there's really not much to hate on Ernie, the show wouldn't really have a big difference if he wasn't there. Coming up next is Vic. So Vic basically starts classy, he's kind of smug, but honestly, it's after his divorce that he spirals. He becomes insecure, he's desperate, he's chasing youth, validation. But the reason he stands out the most is because he is that fatherly figure that George is looking for throughout the entire show. Their dynamic becomes almost father son. Vic represents everything that could happen when ego replaces stability, and it's honestly fascinating to watch. Angie is the backbone of the entire show. She is emotionally patient, she's grounded, but she is constantly taken for granted. She is honestly like that bridge between chaos and stability. See, if George spirals, Angie grounds him. If Benny is dissing him, Angie is there to defend him. If Carmen or Max rebel, she is there to listen and understand. Angie loves everyone even when they don't deserve it, and honestly, that is character strength. The show would honestly collapse without her. Before we get to the last three, hit the like and show some love. Just a quick honorable mention because this is controversial. A lot of people will more than likely disagree with this, but I promise you, you don't have to. Max. And Max is all the way up here, but to be honest, it could be either or because to me, Max doesn't really represent much. Max is only there to basically show that George does have an easy side when it comes to parenting. But imagine if Max wasn't there, then George all of a sudden becomes a villain, and this comedy show is no longer a comedy. I honestly feel like the laugh track saved this show a lot and stopped it from becoming a drama. But moving on, because this next one is obviously Benny. Cold, brutal, hilarious, but super toxic. But she is also a woman who survived a hard life by doing it the only way she knew how, and that was becoming hard herself. Now, she does love George and she appreciates him, though throughout the show, she can't really show that, which is why it's much more impactful when she has moments of softness towards George. See, if Benny hadn't given George that trauma that George has to deal with every day, there would be no show. And honestly, Benny is by far one of the most important characters on the show. Also, honestly, one of the funniest. Obviously, we cannot have this list without George himself. Literally, the show is named after him. Now, he's flawed, petty, jealous, insecure, loud, you name it. But underneath all of this, he is just a man that is terrified of becoming his parents. George grew up abandoned, neglected, and constantly being felt like he just wasn't enough. The entire series is him basically trying but often failing to break the cycle. Though in the end, and I know a lot of people don't feel like that was an actual ending, he does break the cycle because he ends up choosing family over ego, as he stays to save everybody's job, puts his on the line, and everything ends up paying off. George isn't perfect, he's real, and that's why he is probably one of the most important characters on the show. And obviously, last but not least, I told you guys this is probably one of the most controversial, but it's got to be Carmen. Now, I'll tell you exactly why Carmen. Because without Carmen, she doesn't call out George for his constant unfair treatment over her, and she doesn't highlight George's trauma. See, George basically parents Carmen based on everything that he went through. Instead of giving her a better life or something better than what he experienced, George thinks that it's going to be the same way for her. But Carmen is that character that calls out George on everything that he does wrong, and I think it's crucial that somebody does basically every day. Without Carmen, this show wouldn't have peaked because you got to remember a lot of the mid seasons were all Carmen related. Unfortunately, her worst relationship shows how desperate she is for love and attention. And luckily, we did get some moments where George is actually there for her. And those moments are usually the ones that hit way harder when you see them on your screen. Carmen isn't perfect, she's human. See, what makes this show special, it's not like the jokes or the situations. It's that every single character feels real. They're all growing in their own ways, even though they all have their flaws. This show wasn't just a sitcom. But now I have to ask you, if you had to rank them yourself, would they be in the same numbers that I just ranked them? As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, like I say, show some love by simply liking, commenting, or subscribing. And let me know if there's an episode that you guys want me to cover. I'd be happy to. As always, enjoy your night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.